So we're going to start here. We have office hours, and we have a special extended office hours because we're doing our annual observer reporting. And this has been a long time tradition for the league, and it's been a little bit broken up the last couple of years as things were changing. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to get back in the groove, so to speak. So before we start with the observer reports, I want to remind people of a couple of upcoming events. On April 29th, which is a Thursday, 7 to 8, we're having a presentation by the people who run the Braver Angels program. And this is a program that's intended to bridge the partisan divide, to lower the temperature of conversations, political conversations, and somewhat directly between, red and blue, between people who don't agree with you, how to talk with them, and not how to persuade them, but just how to have conversations and bring sort of civility back. And so I think this is an important program. The presentation will be about how the program works, and then we'll talk about later how the league can bring this program to Champaign-Urbana. And then a second event I want to tell you about is May 3rd, which is doesn't have a time now, but the voter registration team is bringing a program to highlight the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It's last congressional session, it was HR 4. It hasn't been introduced yet, but it is going to be soon. And it's going to be an important piece of legislation to bring back some of the protections against voter suppression. And on May 3rd, we'll learn about what is going to be in the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And we'll also learn, and I think this is an important aspect, we'll also learn in a kind of a real time way how to talk to your representatives, to your congressional representatives, and a skill that also works at the Senate and House in the state. And for a lot of us, we've done that, and you've done it a few times, and it becomes a pretty natural thing. But for people who haven't done it yet, it can be a little intimidating. And the purpose on May 3rd is to get you comfortable with doing that. So when we do have important bills like John Lewis Act, we're ready to take action and to contact our representatives and senators and say, we need you to support this bill. So that's May 3rd. And with that, turn it over to Barbara.
And I will turn it over to Debbie Rugg.
Okay.
Okay. Well, welcome back from a 2-year hiatus. Last year at our usual observer report time, we were not meeting in person and still in COVID shock about how to do regular business. The league found Zoom by the May annual meeting, and here we are with some new observers and some longtime stalwarts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is one of the respected and known activities of the league, along with candidate forums, helping the public know our local government. Our observers have continued through COVID time. They didn't stop observing. Thank you, observers. The value of the Observer Corps is at least twofold. A league observer at the meeting acknowledges the importance and value of these citizen boards. And 2, it demonstrates that someone from the public is paying attention to their regular meetings. Today's reports will be presented with my introducing each observer and just with a name and a board, and hoping that there is time available at the end for the questions and comments. On to the 8 5-minute reports we are presenting today, starting with Natalie Frankenberg, Champaign Public Library. Take it, Natalie.
Okay. The Champaign Public Library Board has 9 members and meets monthly except for December. From April 2019 until March 2020, when the state shut down because of the pandemic, the library continued with a full schedule of programming for children of all ages, teens, and adults. The library sponsored a young entrepreneur program where local teens and young adults pitched their innovative business ideas to a panel of experts. It continued the tech workshops and developed a new series of classes and job clubs to help community members who are looking for work, building career skills, and transitioning to a new field. The library continued to host authors, have weekend concerts and performances, have their summer reading program, held the 4th annual food truck rally, and hosted other family-friendly events. The early learning and teen programs, including the after-school programs, continued to expand. Mother Goose on the Loose added a Spanish story time to their schedule. In September of 2019, the library collaborated with our league to host the National Voters Registration Day at the Douglas Branch. Douglas Branch continued to have programs and activities to reach out to the community through the Parent Lab and forged community partnerships with the University of Illinois School of Music, WEFT Community Radio, Krannert Center for the Performing Arts, and the City of Champaign Neighborhood Services. In October of 2019, Essie Harris, the Douglas Branch manager, was celebrated for her 50 years of service to the City of Champaign. During the time the library was closed, the staff offered services by email, chat, and phone. There were continuing monthly book clubs at the main library and the Douglas Branch, which were able to continue via Zoom. As time went on, the library added additional workshops and classes via the Zoom format. During this time, the Douglas Branch received new shelving, new collection arrangement, and a new checkout desk. In January of 2020, even before the pandemic forced the library to close, the library introduced curbside delivery to make services more convenient and accessible to customers without them having to come inside. This service was interrupted during the beginning months of the pandemic. However, in mid-May, the library was able to reinstate the service, even though the library itself had not yet reopened to the public. On June 26, 2020, the library did reopen to the public under Champaign public health protocols with limited hours of operation. All in-person programming was still canceled, but online programming was even expanded. On February 1st of this year, the library resumed regular hours, but there are still restrictions. The cafe remains closed and there's no public seating. As of August 15th, 2020, the library became a fine-free library. All late fees were eliminated on all the materials. Even though the library has reopened with limited restrictions, it continues to present online programs including story times, business seminars, tech seminars, and career seminars. Webinars can now be viewed after the fact on the library's YouTube channel. And in addition, there's been a dramatic increase in the use of e-resources during the past year. The Library Foundation and Friends continued their financial support of many library activities. The foundation received a $78,000 unrestricted estate gift. And since the Friend Shop was closed during the pandemic, this money will be used to support programs and services normally funded by the Friends. In addition, the library is receiving a $10,000 grant from Champaign Rotary to purchase 20 additional hotspots and Chromebooks. For the 13th year in a row, the Library Journal awarded our library star status. And during October of 2019 and 20, the annual audit review was conducted and the library received the highest rating both years. Serving as the observer continues to be an interesting experience and a privilege. Under 5 minutes.
It is. It was
I
only
timing.
4:40. Very good.
Very good.
Nancy Morse, are you available or should we scoot over to Trisha real quick? Why don't we do Trisha, because I think Nancy's trying to get back on her phone.
Sure.
Trisha Crowley has the Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District. Thank you.
The Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District is a fascinating board. It's a 3-member board, and the members are appointed by the county board. The current members are Jerry Like, Liddell Myrick, and Jenny Putnam, and they've been board members for a really long time. And the sanitary district provides sewer services, sanitary sewer services for Champaign, Urbana, and Savoy. And essentially, because of state regulations, if you want to develop in Champaign and Urbana and Savoy, you have to connect to a sewer. And so one of the biggest changes in these local governments occurred in the early 90s, when Champaign, Urbana, and Savoy entered into intergovernmental agreements with UCSD that said they were not going to provide a sewer hookup unless the developer entered into an annexation agreement with Champaign, Urbana, or Savoy, depending on the boundary agreements between those cities. And effectively what this did is it prevented the creation of a ring around the cities that was not connected to the cities. And in a lot of situations, such a ring will, one thing, stop the growth of any city because you can't get beyond the ring, you have to be contiguous. And so this was sort of a under the radar type of agreement, but it's had an incredible effect on how development occurs in the cities of Champaign and Urbana. For instance, out in the county, they don't have building codes. So without this kind of agreement, the construction of buildings outside the cities would have occurred at probably certainly a less supervised and a less developed rate. And so one of the reasons I'm talking about it this year is that one of the developers at the Curtis Road intersection decided that he didn't want to enter into an annexation agreement. And so he filed a lawsuit against Champaign and the UCSD, arguing that these agreements were not legal. And the appellate court just a few months ago affirmed these agreements in very strong terms and said that it was certainly appropriate for these governmental bodies to cooperate with each other and to make these kinds of decisions. And so that was a very, very important decision for the cities, certainly, and the sanitary district. One of the major concerns for the sanitary district in this last year has been the impact of COVID on its customers. And along with other utilities like the water company and the electric company, the sanitary district has not instituted collection measures against customers who have said basically that we can't afford to pay the sanitary sewer fees during this COVID time. And as we all recognize that COVID and the economic disruptions that followed it have been very, very impactful, especially on lower income people whose jobs may have disappeared and who had minimal or no income. But the impact over the course of the year is that about 9% of the UCSD's outstanding billing is now not being paid.
Ooh.
And you can see the impact of that over time could be pretty substantial. And it also brings up, the question of what happens when collection resumes again. Well, people suddenly have a bill that's 12 times as big as their normal bill because they haven't paid for a year. So this is certainly an upcoming problem. At the moment, disconnection the ultimate collection remedy for UCSD is disconnection to the sewer. And if you were disconnected from the sewer, the house is condemned. Essentially, if not paying your sewer bill means that nobody can live in the house. And so these are going to be critical issues as we come out of the pandemic and resume some more normal economic activities. Let's see, and then finally, I'd like to say the UCSD is an extremely well-run organization. The people involved are always up to the minute in terms of their professional knowledge. They participate in professional organizations, and they have great relationships with the city, with the developers in town, and basically with their customers. As the observer, I'm 100% the only public member there. And I think, and as Debbie said, I think it's extremely important for the public to be represented, especially in a body that's sort of as low profile as the sanitary district. And Zoom has definitely created issues in terms of public meetings, but they've done what they could to make the meetings available to the public, and it'll be good to get back to in-person meetings. And
Thank you, Trisha.
That's my report.
Thank you, thank you. The next report is Karen Fresco's, and I am reading it because she's out of town today. And then after that, I'm going to go on mute and see if I can get Nancy back online. So this is Karen Fresco's report for the Urbana Plan Commission. And I'm trying very hard to work this timer, but I know what this report is. And I can't work my timer. All right, the City of Urbana Plan Commission has 8 members, each serving a 3-year term. It's scheduled to meet twice a month, although over the last 2 years, 56% of its meetings were canceled. The commission prepares and recommends to the City Council a comprehensive development plan for the city, prepares and recommends plans for specific improvements, and helps city officials direct projects for improvement within the plan. It hears cases, takes input from city staff and public input, excuse me, then votes to send cases to the City Council for approval or denial. It reviews a broad range of cases from, for example, a request from the Urbana Zoning Administrator to change the Urbana zoning ordinance to facilitate solar energy system installation, to organizing a new comprehensive city plan. The previous dates from 2005. The current members of the commission include experts in urban planning and landscape architecture connected with the University of Illinois, a local architect, a local real estate broker, someone who's been active in the historical East Urbana Neighborhood Association, and someone who has served in city government and has worked to provide services and resources to women and children. Attendance is usually pretty good, although it's not unusual for 1 or 2 members to be absent. The following case is highlighted here to illustrate the impact that the Plan Commission's work has. That said, the City Council has the final decision. In September 2019, pursuant to the governor signing the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, which would take in effect January 2020, the Urbana City Council passed a 3% municipal cannabis retailers occupation tax. The city's planning staff brought to the commission requests to add definitions and regulations to the zoning ordinance to establish guidelines for adult use cannabis business. Amendments added general definition of cannabis business and added distance requirements mirroring those in the Act. In general, dispensaries, craft growers and infusers would be permitted in more intense business zones, and the industrial zones, while cultivation centers, processors, and transporters would be permitted in industrial zones. New cannabis business were seen to contribute to various goals in the city's comprehensive plan. They would enhance Urbana's commercial areas and develop a diversified stable tax base besides promoting new and expanded business entrepreneurs. The presentation of this dense, somewhat technical material was presented clearly by city staff. The discussion by commission members, which ranged over 2 meetings, identified concerns and proposed solutions. In neither meeting was there any public input. No citizen came to weigh in despite the importance of this development for the city and the possibility of problems that cannabis businesses might raise. The absence of public input at meetings of the Plan Commission is not at all unusual. However, of the 22 meetings held during the period covered by this report, members of the public presented comments in only 3. When a developer requested a PUD to build an apartment complex on California, South Lincoln, and West Oregon, there was public comment at both meetings. When Trinity Lutheran Church requested a special use permit for reconstruction of Fellowship Hall and parking lot expansion, there was also input. This lack of a regular flow of information from the commission and the public is of concern. Regardless of the fact that the city's website archives agendas, minutes, and video recordings of commission meetings, or that the meetings are broadcast on community TV, how much do people know about what the commission is doing? And how well does the commission know what the public thinks about projects that are proposed for its review? Thank you, Karen Fresco. Nancy, are you ready? Oh, you're looking like you're connecting. Okay. Next, Jean Flood, who will report on the Champaign Park District with only what 5 minutes will allow. Your objection is noted.
The Champaign Park District is a local unit of government with its own legal and financial responsibilities. It's governed by 5 elected residents of Champaign who give their services to the community. They are elected into office for 6-year terms. There are 12 officers of the board. Together, the commissioners and the officers meet twice a month at the Breslin Meeting Center. However, due to the pandemic, the meeting switched to Zoom on March 2020. The Champaign Park District also has the Champaign Parks Foundation Board of Directors, 14 members who serve a 2-year term, who raise money for park programs. During the meetings, a 6-year plan for capital outlay is developed and approved annually. The Park District receives money from a percent of property taxes, charges for programs and activities, a variety of bonds, interest income, and other receipts. They also actively pursue a wide variety of grants. The Champaign Park District manages 45 community parks, 33 of which have playgrounds, many with multiple facilities. In addition, it has 14 pocket parks, 16 trails, approximately 230 flower beds, 960 trees, and 12 facilities. All in all, they are responsible for more than 700 acres of land in the city of Champaign. They have 80 full-time and 213 part-time year-round employees. And then in the summer, that number explodes to over 400 seasonal staff. Aside from the routine maintenance, of which there's a lot, the Champaign Park District has dealt with several things. I'm going to jump in the interest of time and tell you the most important. The Martin Center is slated to open in June 2020 at an estimated cost of $10.6 million. This project is made possible through the generosity of Rainier Martins, founder of Human Kinetics, and his wife, Julie. It will be located in the existing Human Kinetics Park. It will have a 40,000 square foot community center with a gym, innovation center, walking track, multi-purpose rooms, sound video studios, group fitness rooms, kitchen, game, playrooms. The Martin Center will also house Head Start and the Don Moyers Boys and Girls Club, allowing them to relocate existing after-school and summer programs for elementary age children, provide rooms for academic, STEM, healthy lifestyle, arts and music programs. It will provide programming using the Martin Center's gymnasium and the fitness center. Then they'll be developing Human Kinetics Park. This is a 10-acre park. It will contain parking, volleyball, baseball, soccer, t-ball courts, community gardens, a playground, a splash pad, benches, picnic tables, flowers, and trees. And then of the 12 facilities, which have so many varied functions, I'll talk about only a few. The Virginia Theater. This beautiful theater has been part of Champaign-Urbana since 1921. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. And currently it is being upgraded in many ways, and it's scheduled to reopen again in fall 21, COVID allowing. The former Bicentennial Center became the Champaign-Urbana Special Recreation Center in 2021. The Bicentennial Center formerly leased to a company which used the space for batting cages. When the lease expired, it became the Champaign-Urbana Special Recreation Center, CUSR, because the Unit 4 School District asked the Park District to demolish CUSR's original location in Spalding Park. They wanted the location for Central High School baseball. The Park District agreed, and now the former Bicentennial Center has been renovated to meet all the ADA requirements, and as CUSR, it continues to provide excellent programs for the physically and mentally handicapped in both Champaign-Urbana. Pickleball is a new hot sport. Therefore, the Park District is developing pickleball courts in Parkland College, Hessel, and Zahn Park. The dog park membership tripled in 2020, and it's added 104 new members in the first 2 months of 2021. To enhance this area, trees have been planted, but they're slow growing. Therefore, shade structures in each dog area with sidewalk, additional fencing, as well as planting additional trees is underway. Other improvements include lighting, paths, playground, shelter, and fitness equipment in Spalding Park, renovation of Lindsay's 8 tennis courts, making the connection between Kaufman and Heritage Park, developing and improving staging areas for flowers, new concrete for Parkland Way, adding ceiling for the tennis center, adding additional seating, leveling, and drainage in Tolson Park, trailer purchase for use in Animal Prairie Farms, new phone system and network home lines for phone system, renovating the Dodge softball complexes.
Jean, I think that we're now at 5.5, and I think people are going to have to go to the website. Thank you so much. You did so good. Got so much of it in there. I think we have Nancy Morse for RPC. Yes? Take
Yes,
it.
yes. Good. I've been observing the Regional Plan Commission for a long time. It's a coordinating kind of organization. That itself doesn't do any functions. It just helps a lot of other people do it. The membership of the Champaign County Regional Commission is determined by the mayor of Champaign, the mayor of Urbana, the president of the village board of Savoy, village of Rantoul, village of St. Joe, Mahomet. Their representatives.
Nancy,
Yes.
Nancy, do you have another device running this Zoom meeting, or is it only on your phone?
It's not on my phone, it's on my iPad,
Okay.
the other one.
You know, I really can't hear these people. I just can't. Man, that last person.
Well, I think we're doing really well with time, and she'll be right back.
Okay,
Yeah,
is it
great.
better?
Better.
Better?
Better.
Better.
Thank you. Okay, so the membership is made up of what you do in your own job. I mean, so there are people, as I started to say, from Urbana, it's the mayor, from Champaign, it's the mayor, and then it's from village boards in Savoy, that's Joan Dykstra, Charles Smith from Rantoul, Tammy Fruling from St. Joe, Patrick Brown from Mahomet, then Darlene Kleppel representing Champaign County, and Kyle Patterson also representing Champaign County. There's some members kind of at large, Dennis Roberts from Urbana, Will Kyle from Champaign, and then 2 community members, Katrina Wiltshire and Anna Olden. One of the main features of the Regional Planning Commission is its focus on Head Start. It sponsors Head Start, and the Head Start programs in Champaign and Urbana are located at the Champaign Early Childhood Center, the Regional Planning Commission Early Childhood Center in West Champaign, the Rantoul Head Start, the Savoy Head Start, and the Urbana Head Start. So that in and of itself is quite a large job. The other programs sponsored by the Regional Planning Commission, the Court Diversion Services and the Youth Assessment Center, it helps with the Emergency Shelter for Families, Independent Service Coordinators who also serve Ford, Iroquois, and Vermilion counties. And although this is called the Champaign Regional Planning Commission, it has its fingers in other areas. And the work that they do in the other areas is not paid for by the Champaign County citizens. It's paid for by the people that they affect. They're active in the workforce development services of Champaign County and Ford County, which then shows another direction that the regional plan interferes with, helps. The budget is a pass-through. They get grants for these various agencies and then they pass it on to the Head Start, for instance. They also then keep the money they need to administer all the grants that come in. Their budget is well over $1 million. Okay, most of that comes through grants. Most of the grants are from the federal government. They're not operational in office. Everything is remote, and it was quite difficult. Their website is a little clunky, and I was never able to pull up the budget for the year. But from doing it from other years, why it would be over $2 million. I think it works efficiently. The meetings before they were remote were really quite interesting and generally featured at least one of the programs that they're responsible for would give a fairly full report. I think the people running the agency seem very competent, although they change. I think that's it.
Well, Nancy, my goodness, 4 minutes. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move to one of our observers who's been observing for a while, but I think Sarah Nixon, Urbana Civilian Police Review Board. This is the first time it's been reported out at an observer meeting.
Police review.
So Sarah, it's your turn.
Thank you, Debbie. Hi. Thank you, Debbie, and the League Collective for the opportunity to present this brief report. I am somewhat new to the League, and this is my first foray as an observer. Teresa Mitchelson welcomed me into the League in 2019 and put me through my paces as a volunteer, and I assisted at candidates forums, and then Barb Jones and Deb Rugg have been providing vital Observer Corps guidance. I also attempted to serve on the criminal justice position update and failed miserably, I have to admit. And I owe Trisha Crowley a huge and sincere apology for that lapse. But I will.
Sarah, you may have served for a short time, but you had some valuable contributions. And
Oh.
for one thing, you did the logo for our
Trish,
meeting, so.
you're too kind. I apologize, but that's beside the point right now. I should stay focused on my report, but I do owe you a big apology for that. But let me continue. So my report to you today will cover 5 points of note. So some practical and structural Observer Corps and Civilian Police Review Board matters, some major CPRB issues, CPRB in the news, and some recommendations to the League. So practical aspects, well, I've been the CPRB League observer since June 2020. So my observation is done via the Zoom platform in real time. I sign on visibly so the board knows I'm present. I silently monitor the basics of the board meetings, so basic OMA requirements, agendas, minutes, attendance, action items, motions and resolutions, public input, information made available to the public, and board members' engagement, preparedness, and courteousness. And they generally receive an A+ in those areas. Next, briefly, the structure of the CPRB. So it was established by Mayor Pressing and the Urbana City Council in 2011 and tasked with serving as the citizens' resource for filing complaints concerning Urbana police officers and for providing an independent review process for those complaints, as well as for the taser display review process and reporting findings to the mayor and chief of police. The board is comprised of 7 members appointed or should be comprised. They are struggling with membership and turnover currently. However, it's intended to hold 7 members appointed by the mayor with the approval of city council, and it's supported by city staff and the Urbana Human Relations Office. So they hold regular monthly meetings and special meetings when needed, which have been especially numerous in the past year. Quickly, the current membership is Ricardo Diaz, chair, Scott Dossett, who I understand is imminently departing, Tony Allegretti, Katrina Kindle, and newcomer Tony Rice. Now, major issues confronting the CPRB this past year include a public outcry calling for greater effectiveness. And this outcry spans a great number of concerns. I can't cover them all right here. Some of those concerns include frequency of meetings in the past, backlog of complaints, revising the complaint form, administrative processing and investigative procedures, subpoena power, video footage as firsthand evidence, training of board members, a question of whether board appointees may include people having felony records, high board member turnover, resignations, and public engagement. So a handful of residents has been diligently lobbying for change, illustrating Margaret Mead's maxim, never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. The community launched the community engagement, among other things, includes launching a residents petition in June 2020, outlining 5 critical issues. And in response, the CPRB held a special public listening session. That petition, signed by 111 supporters, addressed core issues and solutions and states, among other things, the CPRB has, quote, failed to exercise meaningful oversight of Urbana Police Department since its creation in 2007 and has lost the trust of the residents of Urbana. Also, quote, the deliberate actions or inactions of city employees, Urbana Police Department, and CPRB board members over the past decade have failed to uphold even the minimal requirements of the ordinance as currently written. And so it called on the mayor, city council, city administration, and UPD leadership to own these problems, modernize the ordinance, and ensure the ordinance is followed. So I can report that the current CPRB, while still struggling, in these areas intends to continue listening to public feedback and improving as they persevere along a bumpy road to get the CPRB back on track to truly fulfilling their mandate. Now, my fourth item is news media coverage. So this has been extensive. The evolution of issues and reforms at the CPRB this past year has been covered by outlets, established outlets such as WCIA, Fox Illinois, Illinois Newsroom, Edgar County, let me skip to Smile Politely, the News Gazette, and the Public Eye, as well as by independent startup media pages such as Edgar County Watchdogs and Checks.
Sarah, you're going to have to kind of skip to the end. Can you,
.org.
you had league recommendations to the league?
That's good. That's where I'm at. I'm actually
Oh,
at
okay,
10.
good, because you're at 5. Okay.
Here we go. Finally, recommendations to the league. Briefly, effective oversight of police misconduct complaints and appeals processes is critical to municipal government effectively in service to its residents. And my recommendations are that 1, the league should continue to stay on top of the CPRB, keep the finger on the pulse, as it were. And 2, include questions about policing the police and misconduct complaints management at future league hosted candidate forums and events. And that wraps it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We're really glad that you've joined us to do that. Okay, the next to last one is mine. I have MTD. I have been observing the MTD board for about 5 years.
Board.
This year has been on live stream.
Board.
Not sure where the echo's coming from. You hear an echo?
No, but I'll
Okay. I've been observing the MTD board for about 5 years. This year has been on live stream, which has the advantages of being available also anytime on the web site. This means always available to the public along with meeting minutes, although I usually watch them at the time they're meeting because I'm fascinated. 2 things worth mentioning regarding live stream. Board does not know who's watching them. On Zoom calls, the participants are listed and visible to all, like our call. 2, regulations say that with the boards on Zoom and live stream, all votes must be by roll call, no just voice by vote. Since my last report in April of 2019, much has stayed constant, while much progress has been made. 3 of the 7 board members are new. All MTD board members are appointed by the Champaign County Executive. Only rule is that the 7-member board, only of that, only 4 can be of one party. At the board meeting, those are not identified as R or D. FYI, 1 retired, Linda Bauer, after 10 years of service. 1 moved out of state, and the other was replaced at the end of his term. All info regarding MTD is on their excellent and ever-improving website. The public can get the board packages from that site too. Since that spring 2019, MTD real-time tracking app for regular and changes has approved for both drivers and passengers. For example, if rerouting is necessary for an accident, there's real-time info both for passengers and for the bus drivers about what's going on. Also newer is the Vans on Demand app, which started before there were regular bus routes to Carl at the Fields and Stevens Y. Of note, kind of in a different mood, in January 2019, MTD and Urbana agreed to step back from the Urbana terminal in the downtown. MCOR, especially when the center of the campus, right and green, was involved. MTD had been part of the design and planning for this massive project from Neal to Lincoln to Race. It also involved all kinds of scheduling things because of MCOR tearing that up. After the campus part completed, then the residential section to Race was worked on. Biggest issue was trees along Green, with 7 older trees contested and 47 new trees. MCOR is now completed. Other grand news at the end of the report. On to the big elephant, COVID-19. Uncertainty regularly over what is open and when and where. For example, university, restaurants, schools, what buses are needed. Federal grants help with funding, though even a $12 million grant was not quite enough. And the state funding is based on sales tax revenue. A little difficult during COVID-19. COVID also affected bus drivers and other employees' ability to work because of childcare needed at home. MTD has managed its budget and expenses based on reality, including the university recognizing that less campus riders, and therefore reduced its payment to MTD. Grant writing has been persistent and successful. It took 3 grant cycles for the $17.275 million federal grant for the needed expansion of the terminal because of added use. Talking about added use, the buses, before they expanded, had to hold on Chester Street waiting for their space in turn. This expanded space will be part of the whole yards, capital YARDS, Champaign City private MTD and in some dreams hockey section that will eventually be revenue neutral. Except for the MTD terminal expansion, accomplishing the yards project still is in planning mode, but active. Now from the favorite League Observer part, bragging on their board's accomplishments. By May 2020, MTD was working towards a solar array with the city of Urbana, a huge farm that will provide energy to produce hydrogen. They're going to produce hydrogen. Located near the UCSD, Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District and City Yard Waste site. 2 hydrogen buses have just arrived, 98% funded by the state grant. A hydrogen storage plant is being built. They're working with the Champaign-Urbana Sanitary District for methane gas, a renewable source to fuel upcoming natural gas buses. And 5 replacement diesel-electric hybrids will come soon. The end. Thank you. And now our newest observer, Ed Roy, with his report.
So I'm very new. This will be less than 5 minutes. I was doing the forest preserve, and so I did attend the meeting on Zoom. It was very interesting. It was just everybody associated with it, the board, they were all there. The citizens review panel that follows the preserve was there. Everybody had wonderful things to say. People that are on this board have won awards. And this is one of the few things that was positively impacted by COVID, because people went out to the forest preserves because they could. The only really news to report is the executive director is leaving. So they are going to be searching for a new executive director. The only discussion item really was whether or not to get a headhunter for that search, because there apparently are headhunters who specialize in forest preserve and park district directors. But apparently it's quite expensive. They didn't say how expensive. And they did it without a headhunter last time, and they were very happy with the executive director. And I suspect they will again this time try to do it without that. But that was the only really item of discussion or controversy. But otherwise, I mean, and now that I know what the format is for future meetings, I'll give more details of what they do and what the agenda items were and so forth. But it was almost like a love fest that everybody was so thrilled with the forest preserve.
Ed, I'm going to comment on that. One of the reasons that we asked Ed to do the Champaign County Forest Preserve District is that they just got a bump starting July 1st. What is that, 6.25 million or how much for redoing the forest preserve, something they really needed. So they're going to be spending a lot of money. And I would like to look at getting observers for some of the other boards that are going to go into big projects. When is the director done? Did she give lots of notice?
Let me see if I can. I don't have that in notes as to when that was going to happen. It didn't sound like it was, it sounded like they had enough time to do a search.
Okay.
I think if I remember right, I think it's in the fall.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. This is great. I remember that you said you had Mother active in the Pompano Beach, Florida League.
Right.
So we're outing you here a little bit. All right. Does anybody else have comments or questions about these boards or to the observers? Kathy, did you have something?
I do. I was just curious in Trisha's report if she knows or if the sanitary district will receive any money from the Relief Act as far as helping with the 9% of bills that are outstanding.
There hasn't been any discussion of that, so I suspect not. There are some programs that would assist residents, one of which is administered by the county. It's called a LIHAP. And so they've been directing customers to those programs, but the amount of use has been very low. I suspect until there's pressure by way of a collection action that there won't be a whole lot of change here. But as soon as there is, that then the staff has been very active in trying to find out programs that would assist people and direct them to it. They've been they've been trying to search out all of these things so as to be able to provide an option to their customers.
Any other questions or comments? Natalie.
I had a question also for Trish. I actually live outside of the city limits, so I have a septic tank. Do people get monthly bills from the sanitary district? How does it work?
Yeah, they get monthly bills from the sanitary district. They're fairly they're fairly small
I was
bills.
going to ask, what is an average amount?
Like my bill is like $20. It might be
Every month?
Yeah.
Because I know I get a water bill every month, from the water company, but.
Well, the sanitary district bill is based on how much water you use during the winter, your monthly average over the winter.
So it's not
an estimate of going through the system, right?
Yeah. So it's based on your water usage with the idea, the water comes out, it's going to go back into the sanitary system, generally speaking, and not to confuse it with watering your lawn and pools and things like that.
So maybe my water bill is the same thing as the sanitary district.
It's not the same thing. No, they provide totally different services.
Really? Okay.
But, so I get a water bill and a sanitary bill. One of the things about the different, and I could go on about this. One of the things about local governments is they do cooperate with each other. For instance, the city of Champaign has a stormwater fee that's based on the stormwater runoff into its storm sewers. And in a cooperative agreement, the sanitary district includes the city's stormwater fee in its collection so that the city doesn't have to have, this whole nother collection system as well. So they cooperate in that way to reduce costs for citizens. So there's a lot of cooperation between government units in that whole area because, you have all of these different parts of the system, the water, the sanitary, the stormwater, all of that kind of thing.
Somebody asked, I think probably Jean, but whether these reports are going to be available to the members. And the basic answer to that is yes, not immediately. I will be collecting reports from all the observers, hopefully in kind of an email format, and that we will be working on getting that posted to the website. The ultimate, most of the observer reports are also in the archives at the library. Now, of course, that's a different step. But for this set, we'll work on getting them so that somebody can go to the website, go to our Facebook, and actually get these reports because they're public information. Everything the league does is public information. So I want to thank everybody for the observers, yay, for people that are watching. And if anybody thinks that either they'd like to do another board or in addition to their board, or if somebody thinks they'd like to be an observer and haven't been recently, sure would like that, Nancy Hatch or Kathy Hatch. You put in yeoman's work with your board. Remind me again what that was. That was the Housing Association. Yeah, that was a trick. Yeah, Sarah.
But just to mention, I've lately been attending the Rantoul, Village of Rantoul Human Relations Committee meetings as well. Maybe I could, if I continue to do that, maybe I could do it as a league observer. I'm not participating at the meetings, but I became aware of an issue which culminated in a board or committee member stepping down last week. And that's what alerted me to some issues there. Just
That would
throwing
be great. That would be great. And it doesn't have to be every meeting, but maybe just writing up, what you've done to, date. It doesn't, say, hey, this is what's going on. And maybe we need a regular observer there too, if I can't do it. Yeah. That's terrific. Anybody else?
I put the web address in for the program guide for the 2021 Park District. I mean, an organization that controls 700 acres of land has so much it's doing, and all of the things I reported on at least had a price tag of $10,000. So it's just really quite a lot. It's been so exciting. I'd like to thank the League for the opportunity to observe. I'm treated well, and I've enjoyed meeting the people, and I'm amazed at all the good work they do. Thank you, League. It's been really fun.
Well, thank you. Okay. So Ed, I guess you take us out, huh? Ed's been our tech guy too here.